A 6.5 magnitude earthquake is shaking the foundations of the Bangai Islands. 93 million miles away, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, the Moon, and the Sun all conjoin in a rare astronomical event. Back at the equator, it's early morning. A student presents an idea for his senior thesis. He says the internet has become too costly for the average person. It should be a free utility, not a paid service. His solution? He can create a program that would retrieve the account logins of other individuals, hijack their internet. Obviously, he wouldn't release the bug, he just wants to show he can do it before graduation. The dean's response? The student writes the last line of code. He originally developed it to be geo-locked to Manila, a safety net. But last minute, out of sheer curiosity, he removes the geographic restriction. Shrouded in the universal message of peace, the file looks to be from a secret admirer. When opened, the attachment will ask for permission to access something called ActiveX. This was a common message that early internet users would have seen. Most of the time, these are safe to open. If the user clicks no, the worm will repeat the message. When the user clicks yes, the sequence begins. Once opened, the full file extension reveals itself. This is a Visual Basic script. It uses an exploit in early computer systems that allowed it to run system code simply by being opened. The top two files are sent to the Windows system folder, where they wait. The bottom one is sent to the Windows directory, where it creates its own key in the local machine registry. This causes other programs to run as soon as the system boots, before the user even has a chance to log in. From there, it opens Internet Explorer and randomly picks from a series of 4 web pages. Once landed, it downloads winbugsfix.exe, a Trojan. Then, it adds another registry key to run this new file. At the starting line, it gathers the system login, password, IP address, and remote access information, packages it up neatly, and sends it to mailme@super.net.ph. After the details are sent, the worm searches for files containing extensions like .js or .css. It overrides them with the file extension. It does the same for JPEGs and MP3s, rendering them completely unretrievable or altogether vanished. Once the damage is done, the worm enters Outlook, scans for emails, then sends itself using the originator's email address. Destruction is now spreading through a message of peace and love.
You are watching Disrupt TV.
From Philippines to Hong Kong, the virus has infected several large corporations and banks, not only deleting important files within the companies, but grabbing the email listings of all individuals in contact. From there, it jumps to Europe, where it wreaks particular damage to the email servers within the House of Commons. They're forced to shut down, same with the Denmark Parliament. With classified documents in danger of being wiped out, the US Air Force has deployed a system called ASIM. It works by utilizing 144 sensors that the Air Force had previously placed across bases throughout the country. It then creates a sort of window for centralized command to view incoming emails. When an email matches the description, command sends a TCP reset to that desktop, telling it to stop receiving emails for enough time to terminate the worm. The private sector is not so lucky. Most companies are using Outlook, including AT&T and Ford. They are forced to take their email servers offline. The virus has now affected nearly 55 million computers. Along with the emails, a second spreader has been identified. Within the original files, one is named mirc.ini. This scans the computer for an IRC client. If found, it automatically sends the exploit to all contacts that the victim may share on a server. love letter, though. It sends this message. Thinking it's a legit file, tech-savvy users of IRC would recognize the name, the author of MIRC. It's only after running the script would they know he had nothing to do with it. Security analysts are scanning the virus, looking for clues as to the origin. They find that a component within closely resembles a password cracker named that was discovered 4 months earlier. They find within it signed names and resumes, an entry that says, in the resume portion is an extended list of first and last names, along with a group title.
Grammar solved.
This traces back to an after-school club at a computer college in the Philippines. An apartment is raided. Inside is a man, a woman, and an empty desk with a dusty outline of a Gateway Performance 1500. The man is detained. The woman is ordered to show up the next day. The man, now identified as Romo Ramones, is the boyfriend of Irene de Guzman, who is the older sister of a student from the college. The student's name just so happens to be on the list.
The leader in wireless communication.
You're going to find that it's a lot lighter than usual as you drive eastbound from the Harbor Freeway.
That was Love Shack by the B-52s. You're listening to 102.7 KISS FM. Folks, it's a sunny 75.5 degrees in Los Angeles, city of fallen angels, and today isn't just any old Friday, folks. You know what I'm talking about. It's Win a Porsche Friday. You know the rules. Dial the line. If you're the 102nd caller, a brand new $50,000 Porsche is yours to drift away into the California sunset. As soon as Kiss by Prince begins playing, those lines are open. Get your thumbs ready. 3, 2, 1, let's roll.
The TRS-80 Model 3.
Barely recognizable as our current day web, this is before .coms and .orgs. Pseudonym has just come across a telephone number for
ARPANET.
ARPANET was the first wide area network that allowed different connections to send information to each other, also known as packet switching. He tries connecting to the number through his home modem. Sure enough, he's gained access to the University of California, Berkeley. Diving further, he discovers there's potential government documents hidden behind a password. He tries guessing. Then, he tries UCB. Over the next few weeks, Dante continues logging in. For him, it's less about obtaining sensitive information or leaking it, more about gaining power, snooping around, seeing how far he can cross the line. On one of his deep dives, he makes a fatal error. He forgets to mask his login name. He uses his real name. This error lights up a silent flag miles away at a security office. Unbeknownst to Kevin, he continues. The kid answers the door. He's greeted by the Los Angeles DA. They seize his computer, but since he's underage, he isn't charged. He's let off with a warning. In the back reaches of a Menlo Park storage facility, 2 workers are clearing out unpaid storage units. It's a routine job. Break open the lock, clear out the belongings, auction off what they can. But in this particular unit, they find something. The Stanford Research Institute, one of the centers impacted by the previous escapades, reaches out to Kevin, proposing that he works for them, securing their network. The 18-year-old is hired. He has a condo a few blocks from the main entrance of SRI. He spends his days working on encryption algorithms for secure military communications. He's successfully gone from an underground black hat hacker to a white hat hacker with a paycheck. Detective James Neal of the Menlo Park PD thinks he's looking at a standard case of stolen property. The storage bill is assigned to a John Anderson. A quick search finds this name to be a fake. Upon further inspection of the unit, the detective finds blank IDs and a document containing an unpublished number of the Soviet embassy. A few pages back, another document containing the name. Manuel Abad, executive vice president of the college, speaks to the press. The National Bureau of Investigation issues a mandatory court appearance for two students, Onel de Guzman, who originally proposed the thesis, and Michael Buen, who is suspected to have helped write the structure of the worm. They are nowhere to be found. The worm continues its spread, though the effects are beginning to weaken. A press conference is called. The guest of honor, Onel de Guzman. When asked if he is the one who unleashed the virus, Onel states, and when questioned if he feels anything about the damage caused, he looks down, mumbles nothing, then covers his ears. Being the first large-scale computer crime out of the Philippines, the authorities have trouble charging Onel with anything. Over the subsequent months, the Philippine Congress passed legislation dealing with computer-related crimes, but seeing as this was made official after Onel's stunt, he can't be charged. Ultimately, the case against him boils down to credit card fraud. Onel never admits to creating the virus, only that he may have inadvertently released the program. All charges against him are dropped. In total, the estimated damages are said to exceed in wipe files and another for cleanup. Now working at a mobile phone repair stall in Manila, a reporter tracks down Onel. In an interview, 20 years later, he finally admits to creating the virus and releasing it. He said he did it alone. Right now, a cybersecurity specialist is deep in an organization's infrastructure. He's well equipped to face any situation that may arise, but he started at the fundamentals.
Brilliant.org.
Is offering computer science courses at a fraction of the cost of traditional university rates. Whether you're looking to become a network engineer, cybersecurity specialist, or just want to learn valuable information, the Computer Science Foundations course will present computational thinking, ranging from everyday tasks to complex algorithms. Topics include decision trees that computers use to boil down the many into one, or computational problem solving that presents complex, real-world problems in an easy-to-follow format. You can prepare yourself for a career path in computation via brilliant.org/disrupt for free. Or if you want to unlock all 60-plus courses, the first 200 people that sign up will get a 7-day trial of premium, plus 20% off the annual subscription. Compute the future at brilliant.org/disrupt. Polson is brought in for questioning. He denies everything. A few hours later, they accompany him to his condo. Inside, they find a room full of more equipment. One of these is a lineman's headset. This device can be connected wherever there are exposed telephone wires accessible. When connected to a line, the handset is essentially indistinguishable from regular telephones, except it can intercept active calls, answer incoming calls, and make outgoing calls. Back then, you needed a license to operate it, something Kevin is lacking. They confiscate some of the equipment and start their investigation. Among the obtained documents and equipment, they find a series of pictures. A young, slender male crouching down and picking the lock of a Pacific Bell trailer. Further pictures show the same subject inside the telephone trailer, posing with it. Rather than walking through the networks over cyberspace, over the past 4 years, Polson has been finding a particular thrill in dumpster diving, finding old IDs and using those to walk through the networks of physical telephone companies. FBI agents silently surround Kevin's home in North Hollywood. He's nowhere to be found. The leader's phone rings. The agents immediately trace the call, only to be led straight to a Pacific Bell number. Instead of jumping town and heading out of country, Kevin decides to stay close to home. He dyes his hair a different color, takes up a new identity. To get some quick cash, he utilizes his phone line skills in an all-too-easy scheme.
It's a sunny 75.5 degrees in Los Angeles, city of fallen angels, and today isn't just any old Friday, folks. You know what I'm talking about.
It's Win a Porsche Friday. You know the rules.
3, 2, 1, let's roll.
Kevin flips a switch, blocks every other caller from reaching the line. Now, any line that is picked up would redirect to him, including the 102nd.
Congratulations, you've won a brand new Porsche. Who's the lucky winner?
One can only speculate about what motivated Kevin Polson. Those who knew him before he fled agree that he's an unusually talented and bright young man, possibly a genius. But now he is a wanted man, facing up to 37 years in prison.
A TV show has just aired an episode about Kevin's hacks and his fugitive status. As per tradition, the show opens their phone lines to callers that may have tips about the subjects. On this particular episode premiere, the phone lines are jammed. During his time laying low, the LA Vice Squad, a division focused on public order crimes like narcotics and gambling, pick up Kevin on an undisclosed minor crime. Eventually, though, they release him, failing to check the federal warrant database. The feds have received a tip that Kevin is still living in LA. They question some of his acquaintances. One says that he frequents. They go to the store, give the employees his picture, and wait. Brian Bridges is working the night shift at Hughes Market in Sherman Oaks. He spots a familiar face. Kevin has dyed his hair a light blonde, but it isn't enough. The store clerk dials the authorities, ensuring Kevin doesn't spot him. By the time they arrive, Kevin is gone. The agent on duty, Terry, stakes out the parking lot. Kevin pulls up and enters the store. Terry takes a position at the front door. Two clerks sneak up behind and tackle him to the ground. Hearing the commotion, Terry runs into the store and handcuffs him. They bring him to the back room until backup can arrive. Kevin begins complaining that his eyes are watering. He requests that he take his contact lenses out and get the glasses from a bag in his car. Terry agrees. He retrieves the bag, but he checks it before handing it over to Kevin. Sure enough, in the glasses case was a universal handcuff key. Polson is being held in a federal lockup. He calls his sister and mentions that the police, quote, she recognizes this phrase and calls one of Kevin's hacker friends, who subsequently retrieves an incriminating computer from an undisclosed location before the feds have a chance to obtain it. However, the police were a step ahead. Months earlier, they recruited a local hacker, Justin Peterson, to infiltrate the local LA hacker circle. He rings the bell and the incriminating computer is intercepted. It takes nearly 9 months for them to decrypt it. Nearly 2 years after his arrest, Polson is accused of 19 counts that include conspiracy, fraud in connection with access devices, interception of wire or electronic communications, and money laundering. He faces 100 years in prison and nearly $5 million in fines. This is considered one of the first large-scale cases against the newly defined crime of hacking. If successfully charged, they hope to send a clear message to the mid-90s hacking community. 2 months later, Polson pleads guilty to several counts of computer fraud, mail fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. He's ordered to pay $58,000 in fines and given a 51-month sentence. Kevin is released on parole. By court order, he's barred from using computers. He flips the switch, and for the first time, in the 2000s, he gains access. Over the subsequent years, Kevin keeps his nose clean. He dives into the world of journalism, writing about technological true crime. Kevin is still writing, but in his spare time, he's working on something. He obtains a zip file of the email addresses of registered offenders. He writes a JavaScript program designed to compare the addresses with accounts on MySpace. Nearly 1 million profiles are scanned, 700 offenders, 500 of those against children. A defense the early internet startup didn't have access to.
Okay, this is the question: did I ever consider leaving California altogether, going across the country? I did consider that, and I think this might be part of the hacker mindset. I wanted to solve the problem, not run away from it.
Hey, so I was just thinking about how everyone in the world has their own conscience, their own lives, everything. Everyone alive is living. So then I thought about how much computer processing power it would take to simulate everybody's conscience. I'm not saying that our universe is simulated. I don't actually believe in that theory. All I'm saying is that just stop for a moment and think about how much processor power would be required to simulate everybody's conscience. Another thing, would that power be shared equally? Would some people get more power than others? Maybe. I don't know. Thanks. Bye.
Man, our clever humor lives in a maze.